compute. Okay, so in our last class, we had discussed about the Route 53, what exactly the Route 53 is, and the entire features. We discussed about how we can register a domain, how we can do the management, what are the type of records available. Okay, all the details we had already discussed in our last class. Also, I had shown you how to create hosted zone and set up the records. So partially I had shown you in our last class. So today's class will discuss about more on the record setups. Okay, we already know what is the CNAME, what is the canonical name, what is the A record, or what is the NS server, and all these things we already have discussed in our last class. So today's what we'll see how we can set up these records and how it can be achieved by using the different A record setup, NS record setup, and alias alias setup. So in your interviews, right, whenever you're going for any interviews for AWS related questions, they may ask you the difference between alias and difference between your canonical name. So we'll discuss further on those areas, what are exactly those things and how we can set up in our hosted zones and set up the records in our domain. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so hope everyone can able to see my screen now.
Yes.
If we see here, let me just close this. Okay. So the top level domain, what is the top level domain? We already have discussed. We already have discussed about the domain register. What is the usage of the domain register and what they do actually, and how you'll register your domain. Okay. And so if you're going to register a domain, it is actually very less cost if you're going to choose some other register. I had already shown you the differences between this GoDaddy.com, if you're choosing Amazon or Big Rock or Hostinger. These guys are offering the prices. You'll get a different prices. That's why the solution architect, what it does, that is if you are going for a designing and if you're architecting something, right, and your company policy is allowing you to go to the market and just compare the prices, right? Compare the prices of whatever the service you are going to use. If you feel that the service, whatever being provided by the service provider is minimal and is good enough to use, and you have to consider the securities and all these related stuffs, and then you have to choose one of the service provider and you have to buy it. The similar things also you can go for GoDaddy if you're, because GoDaddy is an American-based company and this is a very good service provider in the domain register and in the hosted zones. All these things it can provide. Also, we have seen about the NS server records. What is NS server? What is CNAME? What is alias? Right? All these things, or what is A record? All these things we had already discussed. So today's class, let me show you how we'll set up these hosted zones. Okay, the first thing actually you have to register your domain. So once you register your domain, you'll find the registered domain dashboard here, right? The domain registered dashboard. So what you can do, you can see here, if you want to register a new domain, you can just go here. I already have shown you how to register that. Simply you have to choose the domain based on your requirement. If it is available, you can go ahead and purchase it. Okay, so if you want to transfer a domain, suppose a domain you have purchased with hostinger.com or godaddy.com and you want to transfer to amazon.com. Okay, what will happen? You can use this transfer domain method to just transfer the domain to Amazon, or from Amazon, if you want to transfer to someone else, you can also do that. Okay, so this is the page of registered domains. So what we'll do here, we'll go and check about our hosted zones. Okay, so if I can see here, I have two in the DNS management. As Route53 is a DNS management service provided by Amazon, we can do all the managements on the hosted zones. Okay, so I have created 2 hosted zones. Based the number of domain you create, the number of hosted zones will be created for you. Okay. If you have purchased from Amazon, then it will be created for you. So I have 2 domains, ranjitswine.com and the marlinbluetech.com, and these 2 are hosted statically. Static website, actually those 2 websites are static websites and being hosted on the Amazon itself, AWS cloud itself. Okay, so let me just open one, and you can see here the record counts. I already have shown you these things like 5 records, and here it has 16 records. As it has some email configuration set of, it has more records available, right? So you can see here type of records, A records, SOA records, NS records, right? And C names, all these being set off here. Now, how we can create a record, right? You can see here, as I was showing you, these are the, what is the A record first things? A record is, you are going to set off that URL to IP address. So whenever you set up, whenever you just type one URL, what will happen? It will convert that URL to an IP address, and it will connect to that server or host. In case of canonical name is URL to URL conversion, right? If we go to that URL to URL conversion, see, A record is URL to IPv4, and canonical CNAME is URL to URL, alias is URL to AWS resources. So this, you might get questions on the what is the difference between CNAME and alias. Okay, so you'll find it out. You have to remember how it gets converts and why we need this steps to be added in our records. Okay, now if we go here, you can see the canonical name, the CNAME, right? The type CNAME. Here I've used emarlinbluetech.com and email marlinbluetech. Whatever you use, it will be converted to email. It will be converted to email.marlinbluetech, and that is the server whatever will be used. I'm not going to show you these values as the sessions are getting recorded. It might be a problem if I show all these values. It could not be a problem, but
yeah. And you are also publicly
yes,
uploading to YouTube also, no?
Yeah, I'm saying this videos publicly, so it could be security based. So I'm not going to show you all these things. But remember, if I see here, e.marlinbluetech or email.marlinbluetech.
Sorry, Ranjit. So this one, sorry, Ranjit.
Yeah.
This one you can upload as a unlisted actually.
Yeah.
You already opened for some time now. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So here eMarlinBluetech and eMarlinBluetech.com, right? So these things being getting transferred to this email dot, some server name will be there. As I showed you already in in the last class, because if I just type if I just type e.marlinbluetech.com, so what will happen? It will be redirected to another URL. See, it is getting redirected to GoDaddy's URL, because this is the record whatever is being set off. Okay, the record whatever is being set off is the GoDaddy's URLs. Okay, whenever I type this one, it is getting transferred to this server. Okay, and you can see here there are different routing policies available. Here, different routing policies available. Okay, so far everything being used simple routing policy. As it is a static website, everything is a simple routing policy. We'll discuss further what exactly there are multiple policies available, multiple routing policies, and each policy is very important to understand, and definitely you'll get 2 to 3 questions if you're going to land into AWS. Everything. Now, what are you going to do? 1 second, guys, can you go mute? Kishore, please go mute. Okay, so what you can see here, okay, let me just close this one. So whenever I just type it, it just convert to that one. So now let's see how we can set off the records. So here, suppose I have selected this domain, marlinbluetech.com. And if I go ahead and click on this create record, okay, and you have to just provide the subdomain. You can see here, this will be .com will be the top level, right? Now, if I go here and type, suppose blog, right? blog.marlinbluetech.com, and you have to set up this record type. What kind of record do you want to set up? Either a record, okay, or for a records, CNAME, right? All these record types available, or name servers and all. Suppose again you want to set off a record, so you have to either provide your IP address. See here, it's being provided the IP address. So you'll be thinking what exactly this IP address is. Okay, so what do you say here? 1 second. 1 second, guys.
Ranjit, I think you can mute from there also.
Yeah, I can also mute. I'm just trying to. Okay, I muted him. Okay, so you can also add alias here. So whatever is going to here, I'm going to set up the a record here. Okay, and you can set up as a record is, that is being converted from URL to IP address. So you can provide the IP address of the server. Suppose I give 3.43.21. This is the server, my server IP address. And whenever someone types blog.marlinbluetech.com, what will happen? It will get resoluted to these IP addresses. Okay. Now, how it works? If you want to set up alias record, you have to click on this alias and set up the alias record, alias to transfer another gateway IP, or you want to transfer any elastic beanstalk and CloudFront. So what is the alias? Alias is from URL to AWS resources. If you want to transfer this to AWS like S3 website endpoint, right? So whenever we do a static website, this we can use to transfer this to, like whenever somebody types blog.marlinbluetech.com, what will happen? It will just go to a AWS website endpoint. Okay, so you have to set up this endpoint and you have to choose the region. So I'll show you, I'll do the setups. Okay, now right here, I'll do the setups. So what you do, suppose this is Mumbai, Asia Pacific Mumbai, where it is, yes. So I selected the region and you have to enter the S3 endpoint here. Okay, you have to enter the S3 endpoint. So first let's go ahead and create one S3 endpoint. Okay, so I have these things actually, as I told you, right? I'm using actually S3 bucket to host my websites and all. Okay, so all my websites being posted on this S3 bucket. That's fine. So now what I can do, let me create one more bucket here. It's called as blog.marlinbluetech.com. Okay, so bucket name is blog.marlinbluetech.com, and that's fine. Blog. So I want to make it public access, so that it will be accessible publicly. Otherwise, nobody can access it. So I can enable the versions if you want. So that's fine. Advanced settings, object log, it is disable. That's fine. Create bucket. Now I just created a bucket called blog.marlinbluetech.com. And here, suppose, let me add one index.html file. Let me add one index.html file. Okay, so what I'll do here, simply I'll just create index.html and and just add simple things I'm just adding. Okay. Hello Route53 blog and save desktop index.html. I can put it somewhere. Okay, I have it here. Let me upload this one to the blog and we'll see. And our files. You know very well how to upload all these things, right? So I'm just going to the documents here, index.html. Okay. Then so upload and just keep the permission details. Okay. And I don't need the storage class properties, permissions, destination details. They're fine. The bucket owner enforced applied object only use bucket policies to control access. That's right. Upload this. Okay. The file is now uploaded. Close this one. Go to the permissions here. We have this policy available, bucket download safe and access control list. Let's just go ahead and what it says, this bucket has the bucket owner enforced settings applied for the owner safe. I need to change it. Acknowledge bucket owner preferred object writer and things have changes. Okay, now I can just edit this ACL everyone because I want to make this as public, right? But accept changes. Done. So this is what I just uploaded a blog, simple blog I created and the index.html I put it into the file. So what I need now, I need the bucket endpoint to add it here. Sorry, I need the bucket endpoint, S3 endpoint. I need the S3 endpoint to add this. So where I can get this S3 endpoint, just select this bucket, right? And if I go to this properties, you'll find the bucket endpoint over here. It is about 1 second. Let me come down. Administration S3 URL. Where is the bucket endpoint? S3 endpoint. I need to find it the S3 endpoint, right? 1 second. So we have to create one endpoint here. Okay. So okay. I can just give us blog dot Same thing, I gave it as name. VPC ID must start with VPC. So VPC, I should check virtual client, no internet access, internet. Okay. And I can give access endpoint, policy is not required, make it public. Okay. And good. So create access point here. I don't need this one. Access point names contains invalid character, right? I can just give blog Marlin Blue Tech, something I gave as so I just adding this policy there. Okay, creating this policy, added here. Now save it. So I didn't. I thought of not adding this policy, it will work, but it did not work. Update access point policy, it did not work. Missing required field principles. Okay, action. I can give us S3. Got stuck. Okay, it got stuck. Okay, what you have to do here, you have to simply add the S3 endpoint here. Okay, so what will happen once you add this S3 endpoint, and you have to use the routing policy. Routing policy, we have different routing policy available, like simple routing, weighted routing, geolocation, latency, failover, and all this routing policy, okay, are related to the networks. And you have to understand what exactly this policy is being used for, and when do you need that one in your company or in your day-to-day work. Okay, so what you have to do here, simply after putting this endpoint, you can directly create records. Okay, suppose if you don't want to create any alias, as I said, alias is to use the S3 endpoint or any endpoint, AWS resources endpoint. Okay, you have to create the endpoint and create it. Now, if I suppose want to redirect this to a server, redirect to this a server. Okay, suppose what do you do, the IP address, you can directly get the IP address of one of your EC2 instances. You can add the IP address of one of your EC2 instances and put it here. Okay, suppose 192.4.3.21, and what you do, the TLS second, time to live on the internet page, suppose 300 seconds. Sometimes what will happen, whenever you type, suppose facebook.com, right? So what will happen, if there is a downtime in the Facebook site, Facebook server, and there is, you'll not access the Facebook page, right? So what will happen, time to live in the seconds means, if the server is down, it will still available on the internet up to 300 seconds. After that, it will be failed. Okay, so recommended value, you can say setup was 60 to 172,000 to 800. Now here the policy, routing policy, simple routing policy, that's all. A record, I just gave single IP value, and you can also put multiple values on separated line, comma, and just put separated line, right? Now create record. What will happen? It will simply create one record, blog.marlinbluetech.com here. And you can see here, it is being transferred to the IP address here. It is being redirected to the IP address. So this IP address could be your blog website. It should contain your blog website. Okay, if you want to do that. Suppose if you want to delete anything, I don't need this, simply go ahead, and if you want to edit it, select anything, edit the record. And if you want to delete it, simply select that record and delete it. Okay, you can just go, sorry, cancel the changes. If I close it, it will show all the records, fine. It's okay to see the records. Fine. So what will happen? Select this one. You will see one delete options will be available, and you can go ahead and delete the records. Okay. Now, what will happen? This is what you have to do and add the records here. And you need to understand what exactly this A record means and what you want to achieve it. Okay. Once you add it, it will be there. Now, you need to understand what kind of policies available, routing policies. You need to first understand the routing mechanism. Then only you can set up the records. So what is this routing policies available? First, we saw that simple routing policy, right? First, we saw the simple routing policy. So what exactly the simple routing policy is? If we choose the simple routing policy, we can only have one record with multiple IP addresses. That is what we set up currently with our blog.marlinbluetech.com, right? What we said? We set up simple routing policy. We set up with a record with multiple IP addresses, or enter multiple values on separated lines. So what you have to do? You have to enter another line, put some IP address again. Okay. Then you can save it, and you can choose simple routing policy here. Now, what will happen here? The simple routing policy, if we specify multiple values in a record, Route53 returns all values to user in a random order. Suppose you have only one IP address set off, it will be the simple routing policy. It will send the request to one of the IP addresses given in that records. There are suppose 4 records available, 4 IP addresses available, and I am typing blog.marlinbluetech.com. What will happen? It will randomly, the Route53 will randomly select one of the IP addresses and send the request to that. Okay, and we'll see in actions how it will transfer this one to multiple servers. Okay, now if I go here and just simply create one, just let's go to the EC2 server. Okay, here I don't have any EC2 instances running. I think I can quickly create one EC2 instances. Okay, I'll quickly create one EC2 instances, and just I need that IP address. Okay, I need the IP address to set up. Just give demo server. Oops, okay, sorry, just give demo server. Okay, and with I'm going to choose this Amazon Linux and Amazon Linux 2, fine, and T2 Micro is free tier, and key pair. Okay, I don't have any key pair available here. Let me create one key pair. Just give us one. Key pair. So it's already in there. One. Fine. Now what I do here, select security group. So allow SSH from anywhere. So I want to add select existing security group. I think will be available anything default. No. What is this launch wizard? Fine. Or I can just create simply one security group here. Okay, create security group. I can allow SSH traffic, allow HTTP from the internet. So I added more to name, and here just provide a name to that. Okay, that's fine. And configure storage 8 GB default. I'm not going to select anything else. Just go ahead and launch instance. The rest of the things we can edit it later. So successfully initiated. Just wait for some time. I need the port number 80 to be firewalled, to be whitelisted, because I'm going to access that blog marlinbluetech.com, right? To this, I'm going to transfer that to the EC2 instances. Okay. 1 second. Just be with me for a few seconds.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Jatin.
Suppose, sir, our application is in Tomcat server.
Okay.
So that time, which IP we will provide?
The same IP address, the Tomcat server, right? See, the Tomcat server will be running on one of the EC2 instance or any of the server, right? So you need the server IP address and the port number to be provided there. Okay.
Means colon the port
colon
number.
8080. You have to provide the port number. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
So just wait for a few seconds here. I need to quickly install one of the application on this server. Okay, so just bear a few seconds with me. Okay, before that, let it be everything works fine. Let me complete theoretical part. What exactly the other policies, routing policies are there. Then we'll just do a demo class. Okay, fine. So simple routing, we understood that if we specify multiple values in a record, Route53 returns all values to the user in a random order. Okay, it will select whatever the IP address being set up. Now we have the weighted routing policy. The weighted routing policy allows us to split our traffic based on the different weights assigned. So we can set a 20% traffic to go to the up south one and 80% traffic to up east hyphen one. So when we need to understand when we need this weighted routing. Okay, so let's think about let's see an example here. If you have a suppose if you have an e-commerce website and you are targeting people, suppose Asia Pacific, you are targeting people from the Asia Pacific. Okay, and based on the weightage, what you have to, because most of the customers are from Asia Pacific region, right? So you can transfer the traffic to the server which will be nearest to the Asia Pacific. Suppose the weightage, more number of traffic should go to this particular area, Asia Pacific, suppose Singapore, and you want, because you're targeting Singapore people, suppose, and you're going to set off the weightage that 80% of traffic should go to the Singapore region and 20% of traffic should go to the Mumbai region. Similarly, whatever ways you want to do the setups, you can do that setup by setting up the weightage. Okay, we'll see these examples. Now, one of these are the latency-based routing. What is this latency-based routing? It allows you to route your traffic based on the lowest network latency for your end user. That is, which region will give them faster or fastest response time. So what do you know in the network concept? The lowest network latency is the highest or faster performance. Lowest latency is the highest performance. Okay, if you get the highest network latency, if the network latency is more, you'll get slow response. Okay, if your network latency is less, then you'll get faster response. That is why to use latency based routing, you need to create a latency resource record set for the Amazon EC2 or ELB resources in each region that hosts your websites. When Amazon Route53 receives a query from your site, it selects the latency resource record set for the region that gives the user lowest latency. So Route53 then responds with the value associated with that resource record set. So we have a slide here, examples. Let me just do a slide slow. So here you can see we have two servers. One is Singapore App East 1, another one is Mumbai App South 1. Okay, so suppose person is sitting here in Mumbai, and whenever he's just routing this one, right, and he's getting that, and our Mumbai region, that Mumbai server is having giving the 180 milliseconds. The latency, network latency is 180 milliseconds. Okay, that means it is higher, the latency is higher. That means we are getting slow response from Mumbai region. We are getting slow response from the Mumbai region. So in this case, what will happen? The network will automatically routed to the Singapore region, right? The network will automatically route to the Singapore region. The traffic will go to the Singapore region because here the latency is very less, 45 milliseconds. So we are getting faster response from here. We are getting faster response from here. Now think about think about your Amazon e-commerce site, or Flipkart, or Amazon, or Walmart, right? What will happen? So based on the resources being targeted, okay, the users being targeted, if there is a festival comes, or if there is a very good offer being provided by the e-commerce site, sometimes what happens, that particular region is getting more crowds or more users being logged into the server. Sometimes what will happen, if there is a slowness in the network, you'll get less response, right? Because the latency will increase and you'll get less response. So what will happen, it will not, the transfer of the net traffic will not go, it will be very less. And in that same time, you want to redirect the customer, redirect the user to the server which is getting the higher response. So you have to set off accordingly in this one. Okay, now we have other things available like the failover routing policy, and all we know, this failover routing policy works case of DR, disaster recovery plan. Okay, DRP. Okay, whenever you are doing the business continuity plan, right, BCP, whenever you are going to activate this, right, this failover routing policy will be applicable for that requirement. So failover routing policies are used when you want to create an active or passive setup. Suppose we want to set off our primary site in Mumbai, like App South 1, and secondary DR site in App Southeast 2. Okay, what will happen? Route53 will monitor the health of our primary site using a health check, and will fail over to secondary if the primary site is down. That's why I told you it will be helpful, and it's being implemented as part of the disaster recovery, DR. Okay, DR server. We will have a primary server and we'll have a DR server. In case our primary server goes down, or in case something happened, there will be a health check installed, and based on the health check, it will be fail over to the. So how it will work? If we go and check it here, user same thing is being working here, right? If in case the this is currently inactive, you can see here the South 1, AP South 1 is active. That means all the users, whoever is accessing the website, the traffic is going to this Mumbai region or App South 1 only. Suppose in case something happened, some disaster happened here, and this goes down, right? If this goes down, what will happen? The request, whatever comes, we will redirect it to our Southeast 2. Okay, so the health check will be installed in both the sites here. We'll update the health checks in both the sites. If any one of the sites, the active sites, is down, then it will automatically redirect to the passive one, which will be a standby server or secondary server, you can say, right? So next one is the geolocation routing policy. So what is this geolocation routing policy? As I was telling about the e-commerce things, right? If you go for Walmart, if you go for Amazon or Flipkart or anything, those e-commerce giants, they target people geographically, right? They target people geographically. If you are going to buy something, some product from Amazon.com, right? From Amazon, what will happen? Amazon set off the servers geographically based on the user or customer they are targeting. So what exactly the meaning is? Geolocation routing lets you choose where your traffic will be sent based on the geographic location of your users. Suppose you want all queries from USA will be routed to the server configured for American customer in their local language. And if you are targeting some people in India and their local language will be Hindi, and you want to target people based on it geographically, if someone from India connects to the server or typing logged into the Amazon server, it will redirect to the server. The application is meant for Indian customer. Similarly, if the server is if the people or the customer for America or for Australia being used that particular application or particular product going to buy, that automatically based on their geographical location will be routed to that respective location server. Okay, now your application hosted on those servers may be specific for those customers, specific to their language and prices. You will see in USA you will get in USD, right, dollar, but in India we'll get in INR, right, Indian rupees. So based on the prices, based on the language, based on the products, and obviously you know that artificial intelligence has come over and has already been taken in the market, and it by checking the frequency of those customers being used and being processed, the things can automatically get displayed and transferred those requests, right? Those things can be done. So like Amazon or Flipkart e-commerce sites, they do mostly based on the geographic location. How it works, suppose from India, if somebody is getting sitting in India and buying trying to buy something, what will do, the request comes, Route53 will find the geographical location of the customer and then route to the respective location to Mumbai. If someone sits in USA, the redirect to the, suppose in Northern Virginia, right? US East 1. So like that it works, geographical location. So Route53 will check the locations, geographical locations of that respective user or the customer. Okay, now let's see. Okay, that's all about this routing policy. What are the routing policy? Geographical routing policy, failover routing policy, this latency based policy, and then weighted simple routing policy. Now let's do one lab exercise of one of the policy, then rest of the things will be a homework for you, will be a task for you, and you have to do the setups. And guys, buying a domain will be cost you around 650, like 650 or 700, or I think if you're going to go for Amazon, it gives $12, right? $12, it will be around 800 or 900 rupees, 900 something. So for 1 year, okay, $12 for 1 year. You can go and get a domain by your name, and it is good actually. Being professional should have a good domain with your as you can see, I have my own domain, right? I have my one website. So you can also just go ahead and just purchase this domain, any domain by your name. Keep it with you, and I'll show you how you can host your domain also. See, yearly you have to pay 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees if you are going to host your domain. Okay, being so 2,000 means 2,000 rupees I'm talking about. So suppose 2,000 rupees, your monthly will be around something like 150, 160 or 170 rupees per month, right? So it is It is okay, right? If you can spend 150, 170 or 200 rupees max, if you are going to spend 200 rupees per month, that is okay, right? But you'll have a good website with you and you can do experience whatever you want. You can put whatever you feel. And also it will give you a practice actually. If you have something and you are going to do on that, right? It will be time to you to do work and hands-on, you can get it easily, find it out there, right? Okay, fine. So what you can
Sir,
say?
yesterday I purchased one from prenum.com. It's free actually.
Acha, you purchased a domain?
Yeah, my top level domain is .ml, not .com.
Acha. That is fine, but it is free. I think for 1 year it will might
1
not
year.
even free. Yes.
Yeah.
After 1 year, they'll charge you around $12 or $10 or $8 based on the price they offer. First year, most of the registered they provide first year free. Okay. Earlier they were providing first year completely free, and the next year onwards they will charge you. Okay. Fine. No, so one more thing. If you purchased, that's right. If you purchased from a different registrar, you cannot use the hosted zone of Amazon. Okay, you cannot use it. So what you have to do in that case, you have to transfer it to the Amazon.com. You have to
created a hosted zone and the name server transferred to the Prenum site.
Okay, good. That's fine. So it worked, right?
Yes, sir. It's what I hosted from S3 bucket actually.
Okay,
I tried.
That's really good. So what is your website? Is it working fine?
Yes, sir. Jyotiranjan.ml.
Jyotiranjan.ml. Okay, is it correct?
I think www.jyotiranjan. Yeah.
Maybe it will be down sometime. Yes. Okay, fine. So that's very good, Jyoti. So he has done actually a extra. Okay, whatever we have learned so far, he has done some more than that. So he has already set up the name server. He purchased the domain from some other sites and he transferred the name server. See, this is what called practice, right? This is what you have to show it to get and achieve something. Right? Thanks, Jyoti. You are going extra sometimes. That's really good.
Sir, I have a doubt actually. Suppose
yeah.
I hosted from S3, and when someone access this from S3, is it chargeable or it's free?
It's free. It's free. See, up to 5 GB you can 5 GB data you can store in S3. Okay, so that is free. Everyone can access it. Okay, so
means it's under free trial or after that?
No.
After one.
It is totally free. Enter lifetime free. 5 GB is lifetime free. Beyond 5 GB, you have to pay for that. Okay, beyond 5 GB, you have to pay for that. It's not 5 GB, sir. 50 GB. 50 GB they are providing free. 50 GB they are providing free. Beyond 50 GB, you have to pay for that. Okay. So you can put whatever storage. That's what, guys. If you want to use S3 bucket, whatever you want to store or your private data or anything, or what do you feel, take a backup of your laptop, whatever the data you contain, you can simply go ahead and put your data on S3 bucket. It will be secure and safe and you can access at any time. Okay, and it is in my previous batches, I had created a bucket and I was uploading all the content videos on that websites, right, into that S3 bucket. So whatever getting accessed, and it was beyond 50 GB. Okay, something around 1 terabyte I was using the data because I was uploading the videos and all, right? So it was causing more, and I used to pay some amount for that. And after then I started putting all this in YouTube channels and made it as unlisted for the videos, so that those who have get access to the link and able to see those videos. The rest of the people will not see that videos. Okay. So you can use S3 bucket to store and take a backup. That's why most of the companies, right, you not really, most of the companies, they're using S3 bucket to back up their data, company data, okay, to back up their company data and everything they use for S3 for development people. As you know, we already have completed the S3 classes, right? That's why I always tell you, do practice. See, Jyoti is already doing Route 53 combinedly. He already have done this S3, already hosted his website by creating those concepts and those things, right? Really good. Okay, so what we'll do here, let me quickly get the IP address of this name server. So this is the IP address. I'll go to the Route 53 here. Okay, let's go to the hosted zone and I'll just edit it and say. So what is this? blog.marlinbluetech. Edit the record here and I'll just put the real IP address here. Okay, this is the public IP address, right? Save the changes. Now, what do you need to get our application and blog to work? I need to install one software, right? The web server, HTTPD web, Apache web server. I'm going to install it. Let me connect to my terminal. Let me quickly connect to my terminal here. Downloads, it will be one sheet. Just paste on one dot pane. So EC2 hyphen user @ 10. Okay, so it is too open, so that's why it is not bad permission. Let me change it. Node 400. Good. Now connect. Right. So I connected to the site. Let me quickly install sudo yum install httpd. Enter. Yes. Okay, so I just installed it. Now let me, what is this? Let me go cd var www html. So yeah, here I need to just create one index file here. Okay, vi index.html. Good. So let me copy paste this content here. Accept it. Save this one. Okay, I just install and I need to start the HTTPD server. So let me check the status. What is systemctl status HTTPD. So the server is inactive. It is installed but inactive. Let me start it. Sudo systemctl start HTTPD server. So it is status. Let's check the status. So it is now active and running. If I go ahead and get the IP address, let's verify it. Yeah, it gives hello Route 53 blog. Okay, now I want my blog to be transferred here, right? blog.marlinbluetech.com. So if I go here, if I just type blog.marlinbluetech.com, it should be routed to the IP addresses provided. Okay, so let's try blog dot, what is this? marlinbluetech.com. See, my blog is now working, blog.marlinbluetech.com. So this is simple website, and this website you can put your enterprise application also. This server, in this IP address, whatever we gave, right? In this IP address, whatever we gave, you can put whatever you want, whatever applications you want, your enterprise applications, anything. And you can just redirect this blog.marlinbluetech.com. So here what we did, we simply used the simple routing and used a record that is being if you type URL, it is getting resolved to the IP addresses. Okay, and it's kind of using this IP address connecting to the server, and the server install this application, and the application is deployed and hosted. Now we can easily understand how we can set off this Route 53 and work on this. Okay, now this is what being working. Now what we'll do here, so you guys, you easily understood what is that. Let me show you the other type of policies and other type of things. If you go here and just edit this record, and you'll find the record type, you can select any record if you want, and the routing policy. If you select the weighted policy, okay, and you have to give the weightage here. The weight can be a number between 0 to 255. If you specify 0, Route 53 stops responding to the DNS queries. So 0 means it will not respond properly. So weight is between 250, 0 to 255. If I give 1, it's very less weightage. If I give 255, then it will give more weightage to that. Okay. Similarly, if I go and select the geolocations, then you have to use the location ID. Okay. Health check ID, lots of things you have to choose it. Similarly, if you go for latency, right, choose the region, which region you want to set up the based on the latency. Same things for failover record type, primary or secondary. If you want this to make us primary, right, block.malin bluetext, and this you want to make it as primary server, so you have to select failover and make it as primary, and do the health check ID and set it here. If you want to set up the load balancer, you can do the set up the load balancer and save it. And similarly, you have to create another record. Same blog.malinbluetext.com, and you have to provide the secondary IP address here, and you have to select that one as secondary, right? So if someone types blog.malinbluetext.com, based on the record set of failover, it will go to the primary or secondary. Okay, it is very simple, guys. Okay, so this is a task for you. If you want to do practice, you can just go ahead and do practice better. Just do for simple routing practices only. Okay, so thank you, Jyoti. He has done lots of good things and has completed already whatever we have covered. So just do practice, and whatever I also showed you today, just create instances, multiple instances, and start set up installing some softwares and web servers. Try to install applications and run it. Okay, so this is how the Route 53 works. Okay, do you have any doubt, guys? Or else we'll go ahead and discuss some other services. Okay, now Route 53, if we go here, you can see the traffic policies and registered domain, pending requests. Okay, so all these things are available here. So DNS firewalls, if you want to set up the firewall. So okay, domain name service has also the firewall setup. We need to set off the firewalls based on the domains you want to. So we can first create a rule group. What kind of rule? And it is not free, guys, so you have to pay for that. Just check for the pricing. And if you see how it works, first you have to create a group, add the rules to that particular rule group, and associate the rule to the VPCs. As you are going to use the VPC, custom VPCs and all, so what is this? Managed firewall service for DNS queries that originate in your VPC. It's all Route 53 Resolver DNS firewall. So check the pricing here. Just a second. What a second. What says $0.50 per hostage per month for the first 25 hosted chain. And after 25 hosted zones, it gives $0.10. Okay, $0.50 per month. Now queries, for standard queries, if you are going to see $0.40 per million queries. Cost 1 billion queries per month. You're getting this price. So you can get all this price. See, the standard queries means this is the simple routing policy if you're using. If you're using the queries for latency based, this is the pricing. Okay. For geographical, for geolocations policy, you have to pay for that. For IP based, you have to pay for that. All the details you can find it out. Or alias queries. Okay. So I would suggest you guys always, whenever you're suppose going for doing any solution architecting or anything, you always think about the pricing, because that is the major factor. Whenever you are going for any architecting, any designing, right? You have to first check about the pricing, availability, security, and all these things you have to consider, right? So you have to first, and most important is to follow the Amazon's documentations. Each service, they have a rich documentation, guys. Each service, they have a rich documentation. If I click on these documentations, go ahead. Okay, suppose I'll just go for Route 53, right? Select Route 53 here. And see how the Route 53 works they have, and all the documentations you can find. Read more about Route 53, explore Amazon Route 53 features. All the details you can find it out with more details. Okay, what exactly it works. If I go to the documentations, it is all documentations for the AWS services. Everything you can find it out, right? First thing is to know how to use it. Whenever you're going to work any project in your company or any in your organizations, you definitely have to follow the documentation, because the documentation you will get lots of APIs which you need for your automations. We already have finished our class on AWS CLI. How you'll automate in the command line, how you have to write the script, right? So to write the script, you need to know about the much APIs of AWS, right? All the services APIs and all. Suppose we are going to use the Route 53, right? Just go ahead to the networking type. Where is the networking one? Management developer tools, serverless, networking, and here we can find Route 53. Select this Route 53. So we have this developer guide, we have the API reference, because whenever we do the automations and any automations you are doing, any self-scripting, Java or whatever programming you're writing, you need this API reference to communicate with AWS cloud, right? We need all these details. So let's go to the developers guide here. And you'll find it out. What is Amazon Route 53? Okay, so what is everything, you'll get it. Much. See? Okay, guys, hope you understand completely what exactly Route 53 is, and we cannot go each topics in this Route 53, the documentations, and it will take weeks of time to complete it. So it's up to you. Your task is to do more, explore more on the Route 53 and try to finish it. So that is one static website hosting, right? On S3, you'll get that static website hosting, how we can do it. I'll just give you one. See, as I told, whenever I fill any documentations, which is very good and all, I used to just do a bookmark. I used to do just a bookmark here. Okay, anything, whatever. See, lots of bookmarks I have, because some things I find is good for to learn, right? See, whatever I'm just delivering you, I am also learning every day, and I'm brushing off my knowledges. I'm getting more and more and more, and whenever I also see, if I don't do that, I may forget it. It's because we are not exactly working on each and every services. Okay, we are not working on each and every services. There will be multiple tools, multiple technologies, multiple services being provided in the market, IT market, and we are not going to work on everything, right? Most of the thing is how you are going to take it and how you're going to learn it and brush up your knowledge and increase your knowledge power, right? It's up to you how you take it. That is a task guys for you. Just if you want to see, as Jyoti said, he got the domain created free. You can use that free domain, do practices, Route53, definitely get 2 to 3 questions in the interviews as well as in the examinations also. Okay. If you are going for certification examinations, you'll get it. And obviously follow this documentation space. Okay. If I go here, this is the developer guide documentation. If I go this API reference also, what are the APIs being used? Everything you'll find it out here. Okay. All these APIs related documents, everything you'll find it here. Okay, guys, that's all for today's class, and we can meet up tomorrow with other services. We'll try to speed up this and finish this AWS very quickly, and then we'll move into our different other tools. Also, we have pending the final project on the Jenkins. That's what we are going to do it, and we'll learn about that Ansible. No, that's why first I'm just finishing this AWS so that we can directly jump into the Terraform to learn to do the infrastructure automations. To learn the Terraform, you should know about the services what you are going to work. Okay, that's why I'm going to try to finish this one. Once we finish this Terraform, we'll move into Ansible, and then we'll move into Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, guys. That's all for today's class, guys. If you have any doubt, we can discuss, or else we can wind up this call today.